Okay, welcome back to another episode of Steve Jackson's Sorcery, Part 1. It is now late afternoon. You pass over the brow of the next hill, and below you is the village of Torrepani, slung from one side of the valley to the next like a flood barrier. Torrepani is a village of the Sivan, an aggressive-looking race of man-orcs. You might expect their village to be rowdy, but it seems strangely quiet. Still, there is no way around it. It's too large to destroy with a fireball. You'll have to go through. I wasn't planning on destroying the village. You enter the village. There's a definite air of desperation hanging over the place. The Sevens are going about their business slowly and miserably, and pay you no heed. You sit yourself down on a tree stump in the very center of the village to consider your options. You spy a group of Sevens sitting outside a low hut. You walk over and sit yourself down. They are discussing a friend, apparently killed in the night by an assassin's curved blade. I met this assassin, you remark, and boldly interrupting out in the forest. You met him? You are still alive? One Seven replies thickly. I'll just tell him I killed him. I killed him, you lie. The Seven spits a gob of green goop on the ground. You do good. But you 1 day late for us. Another Seven bangs his head down the table. Ah, but with Esh dead, who saved Tia? Who is Tia? Our flower. The Seven who answers wipes a tear from the corner of his eye, scratching himself painfully with an uncut fingernail. Tia's chief's daughter, the other Seven says. Esh was to save her. Now Esh not alive, so Tia soon not alive. What happened to her? Goblins. They sacrifice. Sacrifice. He's unsure of the word, so mimes a gesture like stabbing downwards knife blade. Yes, sacrifice to a great cave demon. Trouble is, our village die if chief line end, so Tia is end. If ends end, we end. All very sad. Very sad, they all agree. Who you? One asks suddenly, as if just only thinking about it. He prods you in the chest. Sorcerer. Sorcerer? A sudden gleam enters the biggest one's eye. Great sorcerer? The greatest. Best is good. Mika, Tifa. He signals to the others, who are quickly on their feet, with big, hefty arms swinging for you. We take to chief before you can resist. They have you and are hauling you bodily into their shoulders. Where are you taking me? The Sevens carrying you give no reply. But then you reach a low hut on the edge of the village. You are set down carefully. The door is slammed and locked. A moment later it reopens, and your possessions are thrown inside. You quickly look through them, but everything seems to be in place. You pull up to your knees to your chest and wait. The long watches of the night pass slowly. In the inn, nothing happens and no one comes. The aching of your empty belly gnaws at you with glee. Daybreak. You are still alone. An hour passes before you hear any noise outside. Then the door to the hut opens and 5 Sevens come in. They drag you roughly out across the street to another hut where an old man with gray hair sits. He is wearing outlandish, colorful robes. My name is Proceus, chief. He slaps his chest twice. I apologize, and then bows, brushing the dust off the floor with his sleeves. Tell me what you want. First, he holds up his hand. First, he waves to a menial who brings in bread and milk. Methodically, you bolt down the meal. It does not seem to be poisoned. It nourishes you. The bowl is removed, and the chief squats down in a pool of cloth. I have need of you and your strength. I will help you if I can. The chief bows. I am grateful. My daughter, my child, she is taken, offered to a terrible demon below. Goblins. The chief spits at the word goblins. He shakes his head as tears well up in his eyes. We never friends, but we never enemies like this. I not understand their hate. Why they care about demons in caves. The goblins are mining the old mines. They are hunting for the power of the crown of kings. But the mines are guarded by old demons. The chief nods. They buy their skin with ours. He gets to his feet. Rescue daughter, and you will be great reward. He gestures to other Stevens who, still taking no chances, grab you by the arms and haul you to your feet. So I probably should rewind, and I wonder if I can sleep right here to get higher health. I mean, it's a little bit higher. The chief nods. Succeed and you may choose your reward. Fail and... Okay. You are led along a short pathway through the forest to a crack in the ground. One Steven has brought a rope and another a basket. They are preparing to lower you down into the pit of the earth itself. You will pay me richly for this. The Stevens nod. The chief replies, We are poor, but we will try. Good. We watched the darkness, he declares as they start to lower you down. You hit the floor with a thud and peer into the darkness. Your eyes can make out nothing, but a bright breeze suggests an endless space in all directions. You are blind, helpless, and trapped. Something clatters to your feet from above. One of the Stevens shouts something down to you. You crouch down and feel around on your feet until your hand is close to the base of something. You pick it up. It is a dry wood torch. Something else falls from above and strikes you on the head. Tinderbox, calls the voice. Rubbing the bruise on your head, you reach down and find the tinderbox. You strike a light, and the torch blazes into flame. You can see now you are in a large cavern, wide and deep. At the far end, passageways disappear left and right. Though not an uneven rockfall at the far end, At the far end of the cavern, you hear a murmur. I think you always want to go left, right? Isn't that what she said? I'll probably make the wrong choice. You go left and creepily and slowly in the darkness, ears straining for the sound of the approaching threat. T-junction. 2 stones are stacked on top of one another against the wall here. The tunnel twists and bends sharply as if carved by a river, now long since dried away. You lose all sense of which way is which, except by keep going where the tunnel splits. The going is suddenly more difficult, and you realize that the tunnel is climbing at quite a sharp gradient. Little stones rattle and roll downwards into the dark. At the highest point, the passage you are following finishes at another fork. As you enter, 2 stones roll away down the slope. The cave walls crush in close, as though the rock is squeezing you to death. Your shoulders rub against the walls. When you feel certain you can go no further, the path you are creeping through forks again. Another pair of stones are stacked in the corner. You follow the passageway when you hear an echo of whimpering coming up the corridor. Your torchlight falls across a frail shape. Hiding in the shadows is the young Steven girl, stacking stones into hundreds of little towers. Come with me. You hold out a hand and take the girl, and the girl takes it and gets to her feet. We'll have to be quiet, she hisses, or else. There's a sudden loud roaring from the mouth of this short cavern. The walls begin to shake and crumble. The Seven stone tower topples and scatters. To one side, a gap in the rubble begins to open, letting through a mean shaft of light. But before you can head for it, the roaring sound is joined by a scream from the Seven girl. You turn slowly and peer into the gloom back along the tunnel. Is there something moving? Something coming closer? Perhaps the roaring is the wind rushing through the tunnels. Oh, probably not. Something evil. You hear the scrambling sound of claws and rock, and the exit from the tunnel is blocked by a dark, looming shape. A manticore, huge and terrible. It stands between you and the light, and howls in bloody rage. Let's make a dance. With a mini-mite no longer beside you, the world of magic is close to your fingertips once more. Let's cast a jig. My favorite spell. Let's see, what goofy spells can we do? This one. I don't understand how it picks what spells I can do. It's just like based on the stars, random alignment. Let's see. Nothing with H's. D. I could maybe cast Doze. You cast the spell quickly. The creature makes a half turn, preparing to swing its stinging tail at you, but then it pauses, shakes its head, and the old man's face beneath its mane crumples down into a frown. It is as though something has struck it square in the forehead. You have slowed it down. If you draw your sword now, you have an advantage, or you have gained yourself more time for further sorcery. Okay. Just keep casting. Let's see, M. What can I do with an M? That's protection. I could do maybe Yob. Yeah, I could summon a giant. That's probably pretty useful. Or hot. Yeah. Let's just fireball this thing. You cast a spell, creating a huge fireball that you fling at the beast. It makes the damp rock wall sizzle as it flies before striking the creature in the side. It roars out in pain. The manticore roars, making the walls of the chamber shake. By listening closely, you can hear a note of fear in its too human voice. It's still a beast of ferocious strength, but you have weakened it. You'll have to make this next and final spell matter, or take it to task with your sword. Wow, it still has 14. Man, it really is mad. I guess I should have cast another spell, huh? Yeah, I don't really want to do that long battle. Let's just... wonder what happens if you cast Caught right now. No, you can't. Let's see if there's any other spells that are useful. You cast the spell, the narrow walk and the narrow rock walls seem to gush with thick black smoke. The Seven girl gasps at them as the manticore disappears out of sight. You hear the creature blundering in the darkness, a mere arm's length away. You have slowed it down. Because it's kind of like the other one. Just keep slowing it down. Okay, so I did another fireball. Summoning all your concentration, you weave the spell, creating a lightning bolt that bristles in your palm until you fling it towards the creature. It strikes the manticore in full in the face, its mane catching alight. The monster howls with rage and in pain. And then a moment later is on you. You draw your sword and close on the beast, eyes focused tightly on the terrible sting. Its breath, though, the magical darkness is like that sound of hell's fire, but you have half killed it already. I'm almost dead from casting all that magic. Should I read this stuff? There's a lot of battle text. The fearsome creature paces forward, teeth bared. You drop back into the darkness, raising your guard, hoping the beast will wear itself out. At the last moment, the manticore pounces, all claws off the ground, and bared to plunge into your flesh. You brace yourself as it comes down and leap aside. At the last moment, claws raking in your skin. The manticore moves quickly and strikes so fast with its scorpion sting that you barely see it move and have only a single heartbeat to evade. You defend yourself as best you can. The manticore shifts away and opens its wide jaws, which look so human but contain an impossible number of teeth, each one dripping with a mixture of saliva and blood. Warily, you move yourself into a defensive crouch. The manticore stays low in the dark and tries to ram you. For a moment, it is close enough to smell its warm, fetid breath. The beast growls at you. The walls shiver with its fury. The Seven girl edges nearer, as if thinking of scratching the creature with her claws. It's scared, she whispers to you. You might not believe me, but you've scared it. The creature snarls and snaps its jaws. You must finish this monster before it finishes you. Standing firm, you swing a mighty stroke against the monster, catching the manticore a light blow. The creature clashes against one wall. Rock dust pours onto its back. But as it tries to shake itself, it stumbles. You hardly dare to hope. The foul beast is weakening. Alright, so I just did a 1. It's probably going to do another big attack soon. Yep. I'm just going to get murdered. You can almost smell the creature growing enraged and drop quickly away. The manticore makes a nasty swipe through the gloom with its fearsome claws, but you duck and escape real injury. It gives you silent thanks. You give silent thanks for your concentration. The manticore chomps and grinds its teeth, its expression an ugly frown, barely visible in the murk. In almost total darkness of the cave, it is hard to read the monster's intentions, but you cannot wait forever. With the rock wall at your back, you have no way to hide, but a perfect platform to spring forward. You race at the manticore, slipping a light strike past its outstretched claws. It curses you in an almost human tongue. Dropping your weight, you chop a heavy swing into the vile beast, just as the manticore punches its tail down like a hammer stroke. As it rears, you push your sword up into its exposed belly. The monster rears up onto its back legs and opens its wings to fill the room. Warily, you move into a defensive stance. The manticore rushes you. At the last moment, you jump aside. You are gasping for breath. The creature's relentless assault, its sheer rage, is almost too much for you to take. Yeah, no shit. The manticore laughs at you. With a human expression of twisted joy, you risk an attack. Back against the wall, you deliver a ferocious stab at the foul creature. At the same moment as the manticore comes at you with its terrible sting, you cut into it like a butcher. The manticore screams and howls in a voice that's almost human. It is dying, slowly and ferociously, but nonetheless it weakens. The creature stretches its jaws wide and roars. Got him. You spy an advantage, that the kind that can change the course of a battle. Charging forward, you rush into the manticore. Your sword blade seems to be possessed. It finds its way past the manticore's sweeping claws, though its thick hide down to its ancient cruel heart. For a moment it howls loud enough to make the walls shake. Then everything falls very quiet. That's pretty terrible play. Could summon a giant to help me fight it, I guess. Might be a good idea. Let's just continue and see if I get into trouble. The only noise in the chamber is the hammering of your heart and the quiet breathing of the Seven girl. Thank you, the Seven girl murmurs, then tugging your arm. This way. She leads you toward the light, through a gap in the rocks, into the pool of sunlight in the first cavern. You wave the torch, hoping to attract attention. Girl, call to your father. The Seven child nods mutely, then brawls the top of your lung. Proprius, I'm here. Then something drops down, a rope with a basket on the end. Get in together, the chief calls from above. We'll pull you both up. You step into the basket and help the girls to clamber in with you. Ready. The Sevens begin to haul. The rope stretches and grows taut, but the basket doesn't move. The rope starts to make a squealing noise, and the basket lifts a finger width off the floor. Haul away. You step out of the basket. The Sevens give a great cry and begin to pull up again. This time the basket starts to slowly rise, spinning as it goes. The girl waves to you as she disappears in the sunset. Then she is gone. Another minute, nothing still. No sound of movement. The tunnels echo very slightly. A noise from the depths. Perhaps the manticore was not alone. You wait a little longer, settling down your pack. You can imagine the celebration going on above ground, the tears, the grateful reunion. No surprise if they lose track of you down here in the dark. And then, sure enough, the basket and rope tumble down. You clamber quickly in, and they haul you up. Above ground, the chief helps you out onto the grass. His daughter is with him, clutching your hand. My daughter tells you fight bravely, he said. For that I am grateful. I invite you back with us. Back to Torrepani. Will you come? Yeah, I'm kind of need to rest here. You will take what you are offered. You nod. I will come. As you enter the village, it erupts into celebration. Hey, look at these crazy orc people. You are given a place to stay and recuperate from your long journey. A visit to the healing priest treats your wounds. Oh, sweet, I'm back to 20 stamina. And when you emerge, it is to find the village before so somber and silent, now in full life. Flowers are tied up to every rooftop, and bands of Sevens are playing music on long, strangely shaped lyres. You are whisked away into dance by the Proprius daughter, and before the chief can welcome you to the feast. That night you sleep so heavily and rise the next morning and continue your journey. The chief meets you before you go. My good friend, he declares, you have saved us. He presents 2 gifts into your hands, a pouch of 10 gold pieces, a fortune for this place like this, and a key. This opens the south gate of Kahar, he tells you. I hope it is of use. You perform one last transaction before you go, exchanging your emerald for 12 more gold pieces with the chief. It is much safer to carry around. It is a much safer way to carry around valuables, as you can stash them around your body, in boots and under your belt. Then it's time to leave. Time to go. You take your leave. The path winds away from Torrepani, and soon you are on a downward slope away from the Shamumanti Hills, through the stepped rice fields. As you walk, you feel for the first time the loneliness of the path ahead. Though Kahar is a busy city, there is no honor among thieves, and beyond Kahar there is nothing but the victorious wasteland, and you have no one to trust in the days ahead. For a brief moment, up on the hills above the path, you fancy you see a figure stealing its way along some high secret route, a figure in all black. But when you shade your eyes against the sun, whatever was there has disappeared. In the distance rises the wall of a great city, the first true stonework you have seen since you left home. I wonder if that's near the end. See if the episode ends. Yep. Your journey through the Shemamanti Hills is completed. Along the way, you have gained the friendship of Flanker, the assassin, and have been given the key to the Gate of Kahar. You have collected an impressive number of magical artifacts: a lump of beeswax, a cloth skull cap, a vial of glue, nose plugs, 4 pebbles, blimberry potion, 1 giant tooth, 4 goblins' teeth, and a bamboo pipe. You are armed with a broadsword, your original sword, and 3 rations, and 30 gold pieces in a spell book. Your adventure continues in Sorcery to Kahar, city port of traps. There's the save name. Sweet. See you next time on Sorcery Part 2, Kahar. Thanks for watching.